I bought a rotting house with my last dime in the summer of 2025, never expecting it to hide $1 million secret. Standing on its sagging porch, staring at the cracked windows and peeling paint, my heart thumped with fragile hope and gnawing fear. This was my stand against a world that had written me off, a crumbling fixer-upper in a forgotten corner of a small town, my last chance to build something that wouldn't break. But that first night, as the floors creaked and a single bulb flickered, I felt it, a presence, watching me. Waiting, loss has been my shadow since I was 6, when my mom left a note saying she needed to find herself. I still clutch the worn locket she left behind, a nervous habit I can't shake. My dad tried to fill the void, but he drowned in whiskey and regrets, his slurred lullabies my only bedtime stories. I pieced together a life from odd jobs and stubborn grit, but this house was supposed to be my roots, my proof I could rise above. Then I found it, hidden under a loose floorboard, a duffel bag stuffed with $1 million in cash. And a letter with my name scrawled across it. That discovery shattered everything I thought I knew about myself, the house, and the ghosts it held. $1 million doesn't just land in a poor woman's life without a cost. Those bills came with strings, ones that pulled me toward a truth I wasn't ready to face. Was it salvation? Or a trap? The footsteps I heard in the attic that night, footsteps that weren't mine, made me wonder if I'd ever find out. The weight of hope, fear, and danger presses on me as I share this. What would you do if a fortune could save you, but might destroy you first? Join me on this journey through the shadows of that house, from the moment I stepped inside to the choices that changed me forever. I can't face this alone. Please like, comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to walk with me through every twist of this story. July 2025 in Hollow Creek was a furnace, the air thick with heat that clung like regret. I stood on the rotting porch of a house that looked like it was begging to die, sagging beams, windows cracked like broken promises, a roof wheezing its last. My last dollar was gone, poured into this wreck, my heart hammering like a trapped bird. This wasn't just a house. It was my middle finger to a world that had chewed me up and spit me out, a world that saw Lila Morgan as a nobody, a drifter with nothing but scars and stubbornness. I'd show them. I'd make this place mine, build something that wouldn't crumble like everything else in my life. The realtor's office smelled of stale coffee and desperation. I signed the deed with hands that shook, her pitying glance burning holes in my pride. Good luck, hon, she said, her eyes screaming I'd fail. I wanted to scream back, but I just grabbed the keys, the metal cold against my palm. Back at the house, I dragged my duffel bag inside, my mom's locket swinging heavy around my neck. Its worn clasp was a scar, a reminder of Clara walking out when I was 6, leaving nothing but a note and this cheap trinket. I clutched it anyway, a nervous tick, like it could anchor me to something real. That first night, the house came alive. It moaned, groaned, whispered, shadows curling around me like fingers in the dark. I lay on a mattress on the floor, the air thick with dust and something heavier, like the house was watching me. I swore I felt eyes, not human, not quite, boring into me from the corners. Sleep wasn't an option. I got up, pacing the living room, my boots catching on a loose floorboard. My gut screamed to check it, a primal tug I couldn't ignore. I pried it up, splinters biting my fingers, and there it was, a duffel bag, heavy, stuffed to bursting. I unzipped it, my breath catching. Cash. Stacks of it, crisp, untouched. $1 million, more than I'd ever touched, ever dreamed. Tucked inside was a letter, my name, Lila, scrawled in jagged ink, like someone had written it in a panic. Below it, 3 words, "You're not safe." My pulse roared, drowning out the house's groans. Who knew I'd come here? Who left this for me? I clutched the locket, its edges biting my palm, my breath shallow. The money sat in my lap, heavy as sin, promising salvation and ruin in the same breath. Then I heard it, footsteps, slow and deliberate, thumping from the attic above. An attic I hadn't seen, hadn't even thought to check. The sound wasn't random. It was measured, like someone, or something, knew I was listening to. I froze. The letter unopened, the cash spilling across my thighs, fear clawing my chest. I should have run, bolted back to the nothing life I knew. But the house wouldn't let me go. Its walls seemed to lean in, whispering my name, daring me to stay. This wasn't just a home. It was a debt I didn't know I owed, a trap I'd walked into with eyes wide open. And somewhere, in the dark above, those footsteps kept pacing, waiting for me to make my move. Sleep was a stranger that night. The letter sat on the kitchen table, a splintered slab of wood that creaked under its weight. My name, Lila, glared back in that jagged scrawl, like a dare I was too stubborn to refuse. My hands shook, not from the cold seeping through the cracked windows, but from the pull of the unknown. I wanted to torch the damn thing, pretend I hadn't seen the $1,000,000 stashed under the floor, but my fingers itched, greedy for answers. Clara, my mom, was tied to this house, a past she'd buried deeper than her heart when she left me at 6. I needed to know why. I ripped the letter open, the paper brittle, crumbling like old bones. Lila, you were meant for this. Clara's blood runs here. Her name hit me like a fist, a ghost I'd spent years trying to outrun. Clara, who left a note saying she needed to find herself, leaving me with a locket and a dad who drowned in whiskey. I tore through the house, ripping open drawers, my pulse a drumbeat. In a dusty cabinet, I found photos, a younger Clara, her smile too bright, arm in arm with a man whose dark eyes seemed to follow me. Who was he? Why was she here? The attic door was next, a heavy slab at the end of the hall, its lock rusted. Its frame scarred with deep claw marks, like someone had fought to escape. My stomach twisted, but Clara's name in that letter drove me forward. I needed more. I called the realtor, my voice sharp, cutting through her fake pleasantries. Who owned this place? She mumbled about probate, her tone slippery, like she was hiding something. I hung up, my hands trembling, whispering to myself, "You're not crazy, Lila." But the house disagreed, its creaks mocking me, its shadows shifting. I searched every corner, the floorboards groaning under my weight, the air thick with dust and dread. Each step felt like defying the house's will, like it wanted me to stop. Then night fell, and the footsteps came back, closer now, pacing right above my bedroom, deliberate, like they knew I was awake. My heart slammed against my ribs. I shoved the duffel bag of cash under my mattress, its weight pressing on my chest, a secret I couldn't trust myself to keep. The locket burned against my skin, Clara's absence a pulse I couldn't shake. I sat on the bed, staring at the ceiling, the footsteps a rhythm of warning. Who was up there? Why did they know my name? The letter's words looped in my head, Clara's blood runs here. Was this her trap, her apology, or something worse? I wanted to run, to leave the money and its secrets behind, but my feet wouldn't move. The house was alive, its walls whispering, daring me to dig deeper. Every creak was a challenge, every shadow a threat. I wasn't just living in this place, I was caught in its grip, a fly in a web spun by my mother's past. And those footsteps? They weren't just sounds. They were a countdown, ticking towards something I wasn't ready to face. But I'd never been one to back down from a dare, even if it broke me. The house was a cage, its walls tightening like a noose around my throat. I clutched the locket, its sharp edges cutting into my palm, as Clara's name burned in my brain. My mom, who ditched me at 6 with a note and a cheap trinket, had left. Her ghost in this wreck of a place. Hollow Creek's July heat pressed against the windows, but the chill inside was sharper, like the house was breathing my fear. I couldn't shake the letter's words, Clara's blood runs here, or the footsteps pacing above, each thud a reminder I wasn't alone. I grabbed a crowbar from the shed, my arms trembling as I faced the attic door. The lock was old, rusted, but those claw marks, deep, frantic, made my stomach lurch. Someone had been trapped here, desperate to get out. I swung the crowbar, the lock shattering, the door groaning open like a dying breath. Dust choked the air, swirling in my flashlight's beam. A trunk sat in the corner, heavy with age, stuffed. With letters addressed to Clara, dated before I was born. I tore through them, my hands shaking. Daniel wrought the man in the photos. Daniel begged Clara to stay, his words raw, ink bleeding with desperation. Don't leave me, Clara. We can fix this. Fix what? My mind raced, piecing together a life she'd hidden from me. The locket grew warm in my hand, like it was trying to speak, its clasp biting my skin. Then I heard it, a whisper, my name, Lila, faint but clear, slithering from the attic's far corner. My flashlight caught a glint, a hidden panel. Sealed tight, its edges worn, like it had been opened before. My breath hitched. Was it Clara's voice? The house playing tricks? I wanted to pry the panel open, to know what she'd hidden, but the footsteps started again, louder, circling above, like a predator closing in. My heart pounded, the locket pulsing against my chest. I stumbled downstairs, my legs weak, the house's shadows curling tighter. At the front door, I found a note, slid under in the night, leave now, Lila, or you'll end like her. Her. Clara. My blood ran cold. Who wrote this? How did they know I was here? The words were a blade, cutting through the fragile hope I'd clung to. I sat on the floor, the note in my lap, the locket heavy, my mind spiraling. Clara had been here, part of this house's secrets, part of its darkness. The attic's whisper wasn't just sound, it was a warning, tied to the money, the letter, the claw marks. I was in over my head, drowning in a past I didn't understand. The house wasn't just a cage, it was a mirror, showing me Clara's ghosts, her choices, her regrets. I wanted to run, to leave Hollow Creek and its secrets behind, but the locket kept me here, its warmth a dare to keep going. What would you do if your mother's secrets were a noose around your neck, tightening with every step? Tell me in the comments. I'm drowning in this alone, and I need to know I'm not crazy. The house was watching, waiting, and I was too stubborn to back down, even if it meant facing the truth that could break me. That note was a splinter under my skin, its words, leave now, Lila, or you'll end like her, burning in my pocket. Someone knew I was in Hollow Creek, knew about the $1 million, maybe even Clara's secrets. The house's air grew thick, shadows sharpening like knives, the July heat outside no match for the chill inside. I stood in the living room, locket clutched tight, its edges biting my palm. I wanted to run, to leave this rotting trap behind, but Clara's ghost was here, and I was too damn stubborn to let her go again. I hesitated before leaving, my gut twisting. What if they were watching? I drove to the realtor's office, a grimy strip mall dive that reeked of cheap air freshener. Who owned this house? I demanded, my voice sharp, cutting through her fake smile. She admitted it was Daniel Harper's, a recluse dead a decade, with Clara listed as co-owner. My mom, tied to this ruin, to a man I didn't know. Her pitying eyes said she was hiding more, but she shut me down, muttering about probate. I left, the note's threat pulsing in my head, the locket heavy as guilt. I hit a bar in Hollow Creek, a dive called Rusty's, hoping gossip flowed as freely as the beer. A guy named Ray, with a smoker's rasp and nervous eyes, said he knew Daniel. A man with blood on his hands, he called him, debts that didn't die with him. His gaze darted, like he was scared of his own words. I pressed him, but he clammed up, leaving me with more questions than answers. Back home, the house felt alive, its creaks mocking my every step. I checked the duffel bag under the mattress, still there, heavy with cash, but sleep wouldn't come. That night, a crash woke me, glass shattering downstairs, footsteps sprinting into the dark. My heart slammed against my ribs as I crept down. The locket burning against my skin. The kitchen window was broken, shards glittering like teeth. The letter was gone from the table, replaced by a photo of me, taken days ago, outside this house. Someone had been watching, stalking me in Hollow Creek's shadows. My breath caught, the note's words echoing, "You'll end like her." Like Clara, I stood frozen, the photo in my hand, locket pulsing like a heartbeat. Who was out there? How did they know my every move? The house's walls seemed to lean in, whispering Clara's name, daring me to keep digging. This wasn't just a home, it was a story someone wanted buried, a secret tied to the money, to Daniel, to my mom. Ray's words about debts rang in my ears, each one a warning I couldn't ignore. I was being hunted, not just by a stranger, but by Clara's past, her choices clawing at me from the grave. The locket felt heavier, like it carried her regrets. I wasn't just living in this house, I was caught in its narrative, a chapter someone didn't want me to read. Every creak, every shadow, was a threat, pushing me toward a truth I wasn't sure I could face. But I'd never been good at walking away, even when every instinct screamed to run. The photo in my hand was proof, this wasn't just Clara's story anymore. It was mine, and someone wanted it to end. The stolen letter carved a hole in me, raw and jagged, like losing Clara all over again. Her secrets were woven into the $1,000,000, into this cursed house in Hollow Creek, into me. I couldn't stop digging, even if it tore me apart. July's heat pressed against the windows, but the house's chill was sharper, its shadows curling like smoke. I clutched the locket, its clasp biting my palm, as I climbed to the attic, my hands slick with sweat. The hidden panel loomed, sealed tight, marked with C and D. Clara and Daniel. My gut screamed to open it, to know what they'd buried. I pried it loose, the wood splintering, revealing a locked box etched with their initials. Inside, bank records, millions in deposits, tied to a name that cut like glass, Victor Kane. A name I didn't know, but it felt like a blade, sharp and cold. My breath hitched, the locket pulsing against my skin. Who was he? What did he want? The doorbell rang, jarring me. Ray stood there, Daniel's brother, wild-eyed, begging for the cash. "Victor's a collector," he said, voice cracking. "He'll kill for what's his." His fear was contagious, seeping into me like poison. I found a photo in the box, Clara, pregnant, her eyes hollow, Daniel's arm tight around her, like he was holding her together. My mom, carrying me, trapped in this house's secrets. I wanted to scream, to burn it all down, but the truth was a hook in my chest. That night, a car idled outside, its headlights slicing through my windows, pinning me like a bug. A note on the windshield read, "You're next." My pulse roared, the locket burning, Clara's presence heavy in the air. I fled to the attic. Her whisper calling my name, too close, too real. The house was a trap, its walls alive, whispering Clara's regrets, Victor's threats. Those bank records weren't just numbers, they were a map to a past that could destroy me. Ray's warning echoed, Victor would kill for that money. Was he out there, in that car, watching? The photo of Clara, pregnant and scared, burned in my mind, her eyes begging me to stop, to run. But I couldn't. The locket felt alive, its warmth dared to keep going, to face the truth she'd hidden. I sat in the attic, the box open, the note in my hand, my heart pounding like a fist. This wasn't just about money, it was about Clara, about why she left me at 6, about what she'd done to keep me safe. Victor Kane was a shadow, a name that carried death, and he was coming for me. The house's creaks were a chorus, singing of debts unpaid, secrets unburied. I was in too deep, caught in a story that wasn't mine but owned me. Would you chase a truth that could break you, or run while you still could? Share below. I'm barely breathing, and I need to know I'm not alone. The locket was my anchor, but it was also a weight, pulling me toward Clara's past, toward Victor, toward a truth that might be my end. I wasn't ready, but I'd never been one to back down, even when the shadows whispered my name. Victor Kane's name was a splinter in my mind, sharp and relentless, a thread I couldn't see but felt in my bones. The house in Hollow Creek wasn't just Clara's past, it was a battlefield, her choices and mine colliding in its rotting walls. July's heat smothered the air, but the chill inside was colder, the shadows thicker, like the house was choosing sides. I clutched the locket, its clasp digging into my palm, as I sat in the dark, the $1,000,000 hidden under my mattress. A secret too heavy to hold, but I googled Victor Kane, my laptop's glow the only light in the room. Old articles painted him as Hollow Creek's crime lord, a king of shadows, with Daniel as his partner, then his traitor. My stomach twisted, the locket warm against my skin. In the kitchen, I found a loose cabinet panel, my fingers prying it open to reveal a gun, loaded, its grip worn smooth, like it had seen blood before. I held it, cold and heavy, my hands trembling but steadying. This wasn't just a weapon. It was a choice, one I wasn't ready to make. Ray called, his voice a rasp of fear. Victor's back in town, Lila. He's hunting you. His words were a punch, his panic seeping into me. That night, I saw him, a man in a dark coat across the street, his face shadowed but familiar, like a ghost from a dream. My heart slammed against my ribs. Was it Victor? The locket burned, Clara's whisper louder now, urging me to run. But I stayed, rooted to this house, its secrets chaining me to its floorboards. A neighbor knocked, an older woman with two curious eyes, asking about strange noises. Her smile was tight, like she knew more than she said. I brushed her off, my grip on the gun tightening, my mind racing. Was she watching me too? The article said Victor was ruthless, a collector who took what was his: money, lives, everything. Daniel's betrayal had cost him, and now I was the debt. The house creaked, its walls leaning in, whispering my name, Clara's voice clearer now. Desperate, I stood in the kitchen, gun in hand, the locket pulsing like a heartbeat. The man across the street hadn't moved, his silhouette a threat carved in shadow. Ray's warning, the articles, the gun, they were pieces of a puzzle I didn't want to solve. Clara's secrets were a noose, tightening with every step I took. The neighbor's visit wasn't random, nothing in Hollow Creek was. I was being circled, hunted, the money a curse I couldn't escape. The house was alive, its shadows shifting, its creaks a countdown. I wasn't just hiding from Victor, I was hiding from Clara's truth, from what she'd done to keep me safe. The gun felt like an extension of me, heavy with intent, daring me to fight. I wasn't ready, but I'd never been one to run from a fight, even when it was a losing one. The locket whispered, the man watched, and I knew this wasn't a gift. It was a debt, and I was the one who'd pay. The house wasn't just a battlefield, it was a grave. And I was digging my own with every choice I made. Clara's face in that photo, pregnant, eyes hollow with fear, haunted me like a wound that wouldn't close. Was I her burden or her salvation? The house in Hollow Creek was alive, its walls pressing her secrets into my skin, its July air thick with her regrets. I clutched the locket, its clasp biting my palm, as I climbed to the attic, the gun heavy in my pocket. Clara had been here, her ghost woven into the floorboards, her choices a chain I couldn't break. I wasn't just fighting for answers, I was fighting for the mother I'd lost at 6. I found more letters in the attic, Clara's handwriting jagged, confessing she stole Victor's money to save me. I left you to keep you safe, she wrote, her words raw, guilt bleeding through the ink. She'd run from Hollow Creek, from Victor, leaving me with a locket and a life of questions. I confronted Ray, Daniel's brother, outside the bar. "Clara hid the cash for you," he said, eyes wet with regret, his voice cracking like old wood. He handed me a key, found with Daniel's body, meant for something in this house. He didn't know what. That night, the man in the dark coat knocked. His voice soft, chilling. "Clara's daughter," he called me, like he'd known me forever. My heart pounded, the locket burning my skin. I didn't open the door, but the attic whispers grew frantic, Clara's voice screaming my name. I found a locked door in the basement, hidden behind crates, the key fitting like it was meant to. My breath stopped, the gun a cold weight, as the lock clicked open, revealing a darkness I wasn't ready to face. Clara's letters were a knife, cutting open the past. She'd loved Daniel, feared Victor, stolen to escape a life that would have swallowed me too. Every word was a piece of her I'd never known, a mother who'd sacrificed everything but left me behind. The house creaked, its walls alive, pushing her truth into me. Ray's regret, the key, the man's voice, they were threads in a web. I was caught in, each one tightening the noose. The basement door was a threshold, a dare to know more. I stood there, locket pulsing, gun heavy, Clara's fear coursing through me. The man's knock echoed in my head, his familiarity a splinter. I couldn't pull out. Who was he? Why did he know me? The house wasn't just a ruin, it was a shrine to Clara's mistakes, her love, her desperation. Every step I took was toward her, toward the truth she'd buried. The whispers screamed, the locket burned, and I knew I was closer to her than I'd ever been, and closer to danger than I could afford. The basement door yawned open, its darkness a mirror of my own. I wasn't just chasing Clara, I was chasing the girl I'd been before she left, the one who believed in family. The gun was a choice, the key a promise, and the house was a trap, daring me to step inside. I'd never been good at walking away. Even when every instinct screamed to run. What would you do if the mother you lost was waiting in the dark, her secrets a blade at your throat? Tell me below, I'm falling apart, and I need you with me. The basement door swung open, and a wave of damp, sour air hit me, thick with regret and decay. The house in Hollow Creek was no longer just a cage, it was a shrine, its walls screaming Clara's secrets, her voice in every echo. July's heat couldn't touch the chill down here, the darkness wrapping around me like a shroud. I clutched the locket, its clasp cutting my palm, the gun heavy in my pocket. The whispers were deafening now, Clara's voice calling my name, pulling me into a past I wasn't ready to face. The room was a shrine to Clara, photos pinned to the walls. Letters scattered like ash, a diary spilling her life with Daniel and Victor. She wrote of loving Daniel, his hands gentle but stained with Victor's crimes. She feared Victor, a shadow who owned Hollow Creek, and stole his money to buy her freedom and mine. A tape sat on a crate, Clara's voice trembling through static. "Lila, I left to save you from Victor." Her words were a knife, cutting open the wound of her leaving me at 6. I wanted to hate her, but I couldn't. Footsteps thudded above, heavy, deliberate, the man in the dark coat, breaking in. The air grew thick, like the house knew he was coming. I hid behind a stack of boxes, clutching Clara's diary, her final words searing my mind. "Lila, trust no one, not even me." My heart pounded, the locket burning, as he called my name, his voice familiar, like a memory I'd buried. It wasn't just a stranger's voice, it was a ghost from my childhood. Someone who'd known me before Clara ran. Who was he? I grabbed the gun, my hand slick with sweat, its weight a promise of violence I wasn't sure I could keep. The diary was heavy in my arms, Clara's fear bleeding through every page, her love for me a weight I couldn't carry. The man's footsteps were closer, his voice slicing through the dark. "Clara's girl, come out." I pressed against the wall, my breath shallow, the locket pulsing like a heartbeat. This wasn't just a break-in, it was a reckoning, a collision of Clara's past and my present. The house was alive, its creaks a chorus, its shadows curling around me. Clara's tape played on, her voice breaking, "Victor will find you, Lila. Run." But I was done running. The gun was cold, steadying my shaking hands as I readied myself to face him. The shrine wasn't just Clara's, it was mine, a mirror of my anger, my loss, my need to know why she left. The man's voice was a splinter, familiar because he'd been part of her world, part of the debt I now owed. I was trapped, not just by the house but by the truth it held. The locket burned, Clara's whisper deafening, urging me to fight. The gun was my answer, its grip a dare to end this. The man was here, in my house, in my life, and I wasn't the scared kid Clara left behind. I was Lila, and this shrine was my battlefield. What would you do if the truth you chased was a trap, waiting to swallow you whole? Tell me below, I'm holding on by a thread, and I need you here. I climbed from the basement, gun trembling in my hands, and faced him, Victor Kane, his eyes cold as the photos, older but unmistakable. He stood in my living room, Hollow Creek's shadows pulling around him, the July air heavy with his menace. The locket was gone, ripped from my neck as he lunged, but its absence burned like a wound. He knew me, called me Clara's daughter, his voice a blade that cut through 20 years of questions. The house hummed, its walls vibrating, like it was picking sides in a fight I couldn't win. Victor spoke, his words smooth, sharp. "The money's mine, Lila. Clara and Daniel stole it, and you're their debt." I screamed back, my voice raw, accusing him of breaking my mom, of driving her to run. He smirked, a cruel twist of his lips. "She ran because she knew me." His certainty was a splinter, digging into the child I'd been when Clara left. The house's hum grew louder, its creaks a warning, as if Clara's ghost was watching, urging me to fight. He offered a deal, the money for my life, his tone calm, like he'd made this offer 100 times. I saw Clara's diary in my mind, her fear, her sacrifice, her love, and I refused, my voice cracking, barely mine. Victor's eyes narrowed, a predator's gaze, and he lunged, faster than I expected. I fired the gun, the shot deafening, wild, shattering a window. He grabbed the locket from my neck, its chain snapping like a bone, and vanished into the night, his parting words a promise, "I'll be back." The house went quiet, but the silence was heavier than the whispers. I stood there, gasping, empty-handed. The gun hot in my palm. Victor had taken more than the locket, he'd taken a piece of Clara, of me. The diary's words echoed, "Trust no one, not even me." She'd known him, feared him, and now I did too. The house's hum was a pulse, its walls closing in, demanding I face the truth she died to hide. I wasn't just fighting for the money, I was fighting for the mother I'd lost, for the girl she'd left behind. My hands shook, the gun a weight I couldn't carry much longer. Victor's smirk, his familiarity, burned in my mind. He'd known me as a kid, a shadow in Clara's life, and now he was here, in mine. The broken window let in the July heat, but the chill was inside me, a cold certainty that this wasn't over. The house wasn't just a trap, it was a mirror, showing me Clara's choices, my anger, our shared blood. I'd fired and missed, but I'd stood my ground, and that was something. That I collapsed on the floor, the locket's absence a hole in my chest, Victor's promise a noose tightening. The money was still hidden, but it wasn't salvation, it was a curse, tying me to Clara's mistakes, to Victor's wrath. I wasn't the scared kid anymore, but I wasn't free either. What would you do if the man who broke your mother came for you, holding your past in his hands? Tell me below, I'm falling apart, and I need you to help me hold on. The house was silent now, its whispers gone, but the weight of Clara's truth pressed harder than ever. I sat on the porch in Hollow Creek, July's heat thick, the lockets Absence a raw wound where Victor had torn it away. The $1,000,000 was hidden again, stashed where no one could find it, but Victor was still out there, his promise to return a blade in my chest. I'd found Clara's truth, her love, her fear, her sacrifice, but it came at a cost: my safety, my peace, maybe my life. The house wasn't just a ruin, it was me, broken but standing. I burned Clara's diary, its pages curling to ash, but a note slipped from the locket's hidden clasp before Victor took it. "Lila, you're my redemption." Her words were a punch, a mother's love I'd never felt, written in ink that bled with guilt. I called the cops, reporting Victor, my voice steady despite their skeptical grunts. They'd probably dismiss me, another Hollow Creek drifter with a wild story, but I had to try. The attic was quiet now, Clara's presence softer, like she'd finally let go, her ghost forgiving me, or herself. I chose to stay, to rebuild this house, to make it mine despite its ghosts. The sagging beams, the cracked windows, they were mine too, scars I'd wear proudly. Victor's car rolled by that morning, his eyes locking on mine, a vow of vengeance in his stare. I didn't flinch. The note from the locket was in my pocket, Clara's words a shield, her love a fire in my chest. I wasn't the kid she'd left at 6, scared and alone. I was Lila, forged in this house's shadows, ready to face him. The July air was heavy, but I felt lighter, unburdened by Clara's secrets. The house had been a trap, a shrine, a battlefield, but now it was home. Clara's note was her truth. She'd run to save me, stolen to free me, died to keep me safe. I'd hated her for leaving, but now I understood, her love was in the locket. In the money, in me. The house creaked, its walls settling, like it approved of my choice to stay, to fight, to claim my roots. Victor was coming, his car's slow pass a promise of blood. But I was done running. The gun was hidden, the money safe, and Clara's note was my armor. I stood on the porch, the note's words, "You're my redemption," burning in my mind, giving me strength. This house had shattered me, but it had rebuilt me too, its shadows shaping me into someone who could face the dark. Clara's mistakes, her sacrifices, her heart, they were mine now, part of the roots I'd planted here. I wasn't free, not with Victor out there, but I was whole. For the first time since I was 6. The house was my stand, my defiance, my redemption. If this story broke your heart or lit a fire in you, please like, comment, and subscribe. I need you with me to face what's coming, Victor, the truth, the future. This isn't the end. It's the beginning, and I'm ready to fight for the roots I've claimed, for Clara, for me. Join me, because I can't do this alone.